Mum said I could sleep on the sofa in the living room, but I didn't know that things wouldn't be simple at all. That day, Michael had just arrived home after a long, stressful day at the office. My body was completely exhausted, my mind spinning with meetings, emails, and deadlines that never ended. I just wanted to open the door, collapse onto the familiar sofa, close my eyes, and rest for a bit. But when I opened the door, a scene that stunned me appeared before my eyes. The garden was brightly lit with twinkling lights. Colorful balloons floated in the air, a freshly baked cake emitted a sweet aroma, and soft music mixed with cheerful chatter. This party was prepared extremely meticulously, but I immediately sensed a strange tension creeping into the atmosphere. It seemed that beneath the sparkling exterior were layers of secrets no one dared to reveal. Mum, Emily, stood next to the party table, her face trying to appear calm, but I noticed her eyes still showed a vague anxiety. Dad, Daniel, sat in the corner of the room, scrolling through his phone constantly, occasionally glancing at everyone as if to avoid participating in any conversation. I took a deep breath, trying to step into the room without showing my confusion, but my heart was racing, and a feeling of discomfort spread throughout my body. My sister, Olivia, ran over, grabbing my hand, her eyes sparkling with something both nervous and delighted. Michael, you won't believe it, she whispered. I was about to ask when Mum spoke up, her voice serious but still gentle. Everyone, let's start. But remember, there are things no one wants to bring up. Immediately, the atmosphere changed. The laughter and chatter from before seemed to be suppressed, giving way to a tense silence. I looked around the room, seeing everyone's eyes quickly darting around, glances that were both curious and cautious. Everyone carried their own secret. I wondered if I should ask or just remain silent and observe. I walked slowly around the room, trying to smile politely, but the suffocating and anxious feeling didn't dissipate. Olivia leaned in again, whispering close to my ear. You won't want to believe it, but this is the truth. Then she turned away, leaving me standing in the middle of the room full of light and echoing laughter. But my heart was heavy with unresolved questions. Every small detail in the room made me tense. Ryan, my cousin, stood in a corner, his eyes both curious and wary. Jessica, my cousin, walked past but gave Mum a glance as if holding a private secret. I observed the hands holding glasses, the soft footsteps, the faint sighs drifting through the space. All seemed like a subtle warning, reminding me that this party was not simple. I realized that this seemingly cheerful party was actually a complex network of secrets, conflicts, and hidden emotions. Every gaze, every smile, every gesture concealed things no one had revealed. Even as the music played and the laughter was loud, I still felt like I was walking on a taut string, unsure of which moment would cause it to break. Looking around, I saw Mum give Dad a strange look, as if reminding him, be careful. Olivia secretly squeezed my hand, her eyes full of excitement and anxiety. Ryan glanced towards me, then turned to Jessica, the two exchanging something I didn't understand. With every passing second, I clearly felt a normal party turn into a stage for secrets and conflicts, and right then, Michael understood that I was about to step into a series of dramatic events, where everything would be revealed gradually, layer by layer. I was both curious and fearful, both excited and stressed, and it had just begun. The party continued, but the atmosphere had completely shifted from the moment Michael walked in. The easy, booming laughter was gone. The normal, aimless small talk had vanished. Everyone took their seats at the table with guarded eyes and cautious movements. Mum, Emily, stood at the head, her gaze sweeping over each person as if anticipating their reaction, both observing and warning. Dad, Daniel, was still in the corner, scrolling on his phone, but his hands were tightly clenched, clearly struggling to contain his emotions. Mom spoke, her voice measured, a blend of softness and gravity. We all know today is a special occasion, but it's also time for some things to finally be said out loud. The entire room fell silent. I looked around and saw Olivia frowning, Ryan raising an eyebrow, and Jessica discreetly glancing at my parents, her eyes full of curiosity and apprehension. I thought, what in the world is about to happen? My heart hammered against my ribs, my entire body as taut as a drawn bowstring. Mom began to tell a seemingly ordinary story that actually contained a long-standing family secret no one had dared to mention. She touched upon a financial decision, a sum of money, or an old event involving Dad and another relative. Each detail she recounted ratcheted the tension up even further. I watched Dad Daniel grind his teeth, trying desperately to stay calm, but his hands remained tightly balled into fists. Olivia shot me a glance, her eyes a mix of fear and distress, then quickly turned away, secretly wiping a tear. I realized this secret wasn't just ancient history. It was still profoundly impacting every person in the room. Ryan and Jessica were whispering together, their eyes darting towards us, exchanging crucial information that I hadn't been privy to yet. Mum Emily then directed her gaze squarely at me. Michael, you need to hear the whole story. This is something everyone needs to know, no matter how uncomfortable it is. I took a huge, deep breath, trying to anchor myself, but the suffocating pressure and dread still weighed me down. I understood that this gathering was no longer a celebration. It was a stage where every secret, every conflict, was about to be laid bare. The clinking of glasses and the occasional strained chuckle now carried a sense of alertness and uneasy curiosity. Then Olivia abruptly spoke up. Michael, I think you should know about what happened with Ryan the other day. The room went so silent that I could hear everyone's breathing. I turned to Ryan, seeing him flinch slightly, his eyes conveying a raw mix of guilt and fear. Every gesture, every word, signaled that a new layer of conflict had just been activated, and I knew I was about to be dragged right into the middle of it all. Jessica, my cousin, stepped closer to Mum, her voice trembling slightly. Emily, I think everyone needs to know about the contract Grandpa signed. It affects all of us. Instantly, Dad Daniel furrowed his brow, his hands clenching harder as he fought to maintain control, but his eyes were flashing with obvious stress. Time seemed to freeze. Only the soft music played alongside those heavy, questioning stares. I could distinctly feel that everyone was tense, curious, and fearful all at once. Each secret revealed caused the tension to spread. The light conversation was completely gone, replaced by words that were carefully, deliberately chosen. Michael, realized I was standing in the center of a dense network of secrets and disagreements, where every gaze, every tiny movement, held its own separate message. Right at that moment, Olivia turned to me, her eyes glistening. You're going to have to decide whose side you're on. I stood in the center of the room, the lights twinkling, the laughter heavy, feeling as if everything was waiting on my reaction. Every passing second made me more curious, more anxious, more excited, and more stressed. I realized this party wasn't a family reunion. It was the prelude to a series of secrets, conflicts, and intense drama that the family had been preparing for a long time. Every small action became significant. The way Dad took a sip of water, his eyes briefly sweeping over everyone, Mum's strained, forced smile, the sidelong glances from Ryan and Jessica, all contributed to a subtle tapestry of tension, making me acutely aware of the pressure weighing on every person around me. I knew that in the next few minutes, every word spoken, every action taken, had the potential to ignite the deeply buried emotions. Michael was ready, or at least trying to be, to face the secrets about to be revealed. But deep down, I still had no idea what was coming next. The atmosphere at the party had become so thick you could cut it with a knife. Michael was standing near the table, my heart pounding, feeling the pressure from every angle with every single breath. All eyes were fixed on me, waiting for a reaction. Olivia looked at me, her eyes pleading and strained, while Ryan and Jessica stood silently in the corner, neither daring to speak first. Mum Emily took a long, visible breath, then spoke sternly. This is the moment everything has to come out. No one is hiding the truth anymore. I felt a chill run through my body, but the expectation in everyone's eyes told me avoidance was no longer an option. Mum began to recount in detail the events that transpired months ago, the decisions made by Dad, Daniel, that had never been disclosed, and the deep misunderstandings that had festered between family members. Then Ryan stepped forward, his voice trembling but laced with fierce determination. Michael, you need to hear me out. Mum knows everything, but I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea. This wasn't my fault. Right then, Jessica cut in, her voice rising, a mixture of anger and raw resentment. Ryan, that's enough. Everyone needs to hear the truth, and I'm not keeping quiet any longer. The room practically exploded. The clinking of glasses, the sharp intakes of breath, the glances filled with fury, disappointment, and confusion, it all merged into a sudden, intense emotional climax. Michael felt like I was being pulled into the eye of a dramatic hurricane with no way out. Olivia approached me, her voice shaking but resolute. Michael, everything changes once you know the truth. This is your moment to choose whose side you're on, or if you're staying out of it. Daniel, shot to his feet, his face flushed, his voice grave. Emily, I haven't told the whole story, but things aren't as simple as you think. Michael, you need to hear the full account from me. Mom looked at Dad, her voice soft but razor sharp. "There's no other way. Everyone deserves the truth. No more secrets." Layer upon layer of secrets was exposed. I heard about mistakes, miscommunications, and the financial and emotional decisions that had been kept under wraps. The tension escalated, and I realized everyone was revealing their true selves, expressing regret, anger, confusion, and fear for the future. Then came the moment Michael couldn't stay silent anymore. I took a deliberate, deep breath, my voice shaky but firm. "That's enough. I want everyone to lay it all out. No more holding back. We have to face each other, right now." That declaration ignited a rapid-fire series of direct confrontations. Ryan, Jessica, Olivia, Dad, and Mum, everyone began to unload what they had been hiding, the emotions they had suppressed for too long, shouting, arguing, but also explanations and raw, honest disclosures. It all blended into the most powerful emotional peak since the beginning of the story. I stood in the center, listening, observing, and feeling the collapse of the walls of secrecy, but at the same time, seeing an opportunity for everyone to finally understand one another. This was the defining moment where all the drama, all the conflicts, and all the family secrets were dragged into the light, and no one could run or hide any longer. After the minutes of peak tension, the atmosphere in the room began to subside, though not immediately. The initial booming laughter was gone, replaced by heavy sighs, pensive glances, and eyes slowly meeting each other in search of understanding and empathy. Michael stood near the table, my body still tightly wound, trying to inhale deeply to maintain composure. My eyes scanned everyone, trying to memorize every detail. Dad's gaze, Mum's forced smile, Olivia's worried frown, the lingering, dubious side glances between Ryan and Jessica. Mum-Emily- sat down in a chair near the window, her eyes fixed on the garden outside, where the soft yellow lights illuminated the lawn and the shadows of the trees swayed in the breeze. She sighed, her lips pressed slightly together, then spoke quietly, but loud enough for me to hear. "Finally, everything has been said. But now is the time for us to look at each other with the truth in our hearts." Dad Daniel still leaned against the table, his shoulders slightly slumped, his hands still clenched but his eyes a bit softer. I could clearly see the exhaustion after the stressful hours, but also a sign of pressure relief now that the secrets were out in the open. Olivia approached me, walking slowly, taking my hand, her eyes glistening. "Michael... I know all of that was incredibly tense, but at least now everyone understands each other better, even if there are still things that aren't perfect." I managed a slight smile, feeling a warmth spread through my hand from my sister's touch. Ryan and Jessica's eyes met. They still held a hint of tension, but I noticed understanding starting to flicker, like a small light threading its way through the darkness of secrets and conflict. On that quiet moment, Michael began to reevaluate everything, from the anxiety, curiosity, and anger, to the extreme tension of the minutes before. I realized that secrets cannot last forever, and no matter how long they are hidden, facing things honestly and listening to one another is the only way for a family to survive and grow. I walked towards the window and took a deep breath. Outside, the yellow light reflected on the grass, the light breeze rustled the leaves, creating a soft, whispering sound. That peaceful space made me realize that this party wasn't just a gathering. It was a profound lesson about family, honesty, and the courage to face the truth. I turned back, looking at Mum and Dad. Mum gave a gentle nod, her eyes warm but still sharp. Dad took a breath, his lips slightly pressed, his gaze visibly less strained. Olivia offered a small smile, her eyes blinking as if to say, although many things are still imperfect, a new beginning is taking shape. Michael recognized that all the emotions I'd just experienced, and anger, fear, and tension, had now given way to reflection and growth. I understood that family isn't always perfect, but being honest, listening, and accepting each other for who we truly are is the most important thing. Every sigh, every light smile, every glance shared now seemed more precious than ever. I realized that the secrets just revealed, the conflicts just eased, were all stepping stones for the family to move forward. With greater understanding and compassion, the entire room now felt lighter, yet still carried the echoes of the recent drama. I distinctly sensed that a long, emotional, and stressful series of events had just concluded, but it had also opened up a new journey, a journey for everyone in the family to continue learning how to love, accept, and stand by each other, no matter what difficulties or misunderstandings may arise. And Michael, standing amidst the soft light from the window, made a silent promise. "We'll be okay. At least from now on we've started stepping into the light, facing the truth and each other, growing together. After the minutes of peak tension, the atmosphere in the room began to subside, though not immediately. The initial booming laughter was gone, replaced by heavy sighs, pensive glances, and eyes slowly meeting each other in search of understanding and empathy. Michael stood near the table, my body still tightly wound, trying to inhale deeply to maintain composure. My eyes scanned everyone, trying to memorize every detail: Dad's gaze, Mum's forced smile, Olivia's worried frown, the lingering, dubious side glances between Ryan and Jessica. Mum-Emily- sat down in a chair near the window, her eyes fixed on the garden outside, where the soft yellow lights illuminated the lawn and the shadows of the trees swayed in the breeze. She sighed, her lips pressed slightly together, then spoke quietly, but loud enough for me to hear. Finally, everything has been said, but now is the time for us to look at each other with the truth in our hearts. Dad Daniel still leaned against the table, his shoulders slightly slumped, his hands still clenched but his eyes a bit softer. I could clearly see the exhaustion after the stressful hours, but also a sign of pressure relief now that the secrets were out in the open. Olivia approached me, walking slowly, taking my hand, her eyes glistening. Michael... I know all of that was incredibly tense, but at least now everyone understands each other better, even if there are still things that aren't perfect. I managed a slight smile, feeling a warmth spread through my hand from my sister's touch. Ryan and Jessica's eyes met. They still held a hint of tension, but I noticed understanding starting to flicker, like a small light threading its way through the darkness of secrets and conflict. On that quiet moment, Michael began to reevaluate everything, from the anxiety, curiosity, and anger, to the extreme tension of the minutes before. I realized that secrets cannot last forever, and no matter how long they are hidden, facing things honestly and listening to one another is the only way for a family to survive and grow. I walked towards the window and took a deep breath. Outside, the yellow light reflected on the grass, the light breeze rustled the leaves, creating a soft, whispering sound. That peaceful space made me realize that this party wasn't just a gathering. It was a profound lesson about family, honesty, and the courage to face the truth. I turned back, looking at Mum and Dad. Mum gave a gentle nod, her eyes warm but still sharp. Dad took a breath, his lips slightly pressed, his gaze visibly less strained. Olivia offered a small smile, her eyes blinking as if to say, although many things are still imperfect, a new beginning is taking shape. Michael recognized that all the emotions I'd just experienced, and anger, fear, and tension, had now given way to reflection and growth. I understood that family isn't always perfect, but being honest, listening, and accepting each other for who we truly are is the most important thing. Every sigh, every light smile, every glance shared now seemed more precious than ever. I realized that the secrets just revealed, the conflicts just eased, were all stepping stones for the family to move forward. With greater understanding and compassion, the entire room now felt lighter, yet still carried the echoes of the recent drama. I distinctly sensed that a long, emotional, and stressful series of events had just concluded, but it had also opened up a new journey, a journey for everyone in the family to continue learning how to love, accept, and stand by each other, no matter what difficulties or misunderstandings may arise. And Michael, standing amidst the soft light from the window, made a silent promise: "We'll be okay. At least from now on we've started stepping into the light, facing the truth and each other, growing together." The air in the room was now impossibly thick, as if every molecule was heavy with pressure. Michael stood in the center, my heart hammering furiously, every breath shallow and ragged, my eyes sweeping over everyone, trying to register every expression. The looks aimed at me were no longer passively scrutinizing. They were like sparks, full of curiosity, anger, disappointment, and expectation. I realized that every single moment to follow would completely change the party, and perhaps the very foundation of our relationships. Mum Emily spoke first, her voice shaky but ironclad. "Michael... you have to hear everything. This is not just a regular party. This is the truth of our entire family, and you need to face it." Dad Daniel leaned against the table, his shoulders slightly hunched, his voice gravely serious. "Emily... I have kept quiet for too long. Michael, you need to hear it from me. Every decision I made had a reason, but I know they caused misunderstanding and hurt to everyone." Everyone's eyes were now directed straight at me, waiting for a reaction. Olivia stood close, gripping my hand, her voice trembling but definitive. "Michael, I know you're anxious, but now, you have to step up. This is the moment you have to choose. Either step in, or stand aside and miss the chance for everyone to truly understand each other. Every word spoken, every glance exchanged, every minor gesture, it all contributed to an extreme escalation of tension, like a massive mountain of pressure ready to explode. I inhaled deeply, trying to maintain composure, but I felt like my heart was about to burst out of my chest. Every second dragged on infinitely, and I knew that every action I took now was critically important. Then Mum Emily revealed the biggest secret, a crucial past financial decision, and the misunderstandings among family members that she had hidden to protect everyone. With every detail disclosed, Ryan winced, Jessica frowned, Olivia blinked rapidly, and I felt my entire body freeze over. Ryan spoke up, his voice trembling but determined. Michael, you have to hear me. I didn't tell the whole story before, but now everyone needs to know. This wasn't solely my fault, but if we hide it, things will only get worse. Jessica cut in, her voice high-pitched and filled with emotion. Ryan, we have suffered long enough. Michael, you need to hear it all. If not, these misunderstandings will destroy everything. No one can stand this silence anymore. Every word, every glance, every gesture, every tear, all merged into a culmination of pent-up emotion. I could feel all the energy in the room swirling around me. The air was thick, taut as a wire, every breath a beat of stress. And Michael knew this was the deciding moment. All the drama, all the secrets, all the long-suppressed emotions converged onto one point. I slowly stepped into the center of the room, taking a deep breath, my voice trembling but certain. Enough. We have hidden things for too long. Everything needs to be said. No more holding back. We have to face each other, right now. That statement was the trigger, immediately activating every emotion. Everyone began to reveal what they had concealed. Ryan, Jessica, Olivia, Dad, and Mom one by one. Their voices shaking, sometimes angry, sometimes tearful. Every sentence, every tear, every frown created a complex emotional matrix where every secret, every mistake, and every suppressed feeling erupted simultaneously. I stood in the middle, listening and watching, feeling every ounce of pain, every regret, and every spark of potential forgiveness weaving through the words. This moment made me realize one crucial thing. Every secret is just a burden if not shared. Every misunderstanding is only resolved by confrontation, and every bond needs sincerity to be saved. Tears, apologies, and sighs mingled, creating the most powerful emotional climax of the story so far. Everyone's eyes softened, their voices mellowed, yet still carried the echoes of the drama and hurt. Michael looked at everyone, my voice now steady. Now we know everything. There's nothing left to hide. Now is the time for us to move forward together, with truth and understanding. The climax ended, but the feeling of pressure, tension, and relief still permeated the room. Everyone sighed, looked at one another, their eyes gentler, a slow smile appearing, yet still carrying the residue of the drama just past. This was the definitive moment. Every conflict had been exposed, every secret revealed, and every emotion confronted directly, opening up the possibility for the family to learn how to understand and forgive each other. After the furious climax, the room was now filled with a strange, heavy silence. The shouting was gone, the angry glares had vanished, replaced only by long sighs, quiet contemplation, and tentative emerging smiles. Michael stood in the center, my heart still racing, but a peculiar feeling settled in my gut, a mix of profound relief and deep, sobering reflection. Mom-Emily sat down on the chair near the window, her gaze fixed on the gently lit garden outside. She sighed, pressed her lips together, then turned back to look at each person. Everything has been said. Now is the time we learn to live with the truth and to truly understand each other, she said, her voice soft yet full of resolve. Daniel also relaxed his shoulders, offering a tired but genuine smile. He placed a hand on my shoulder and said, Michael, you did the right thing by stepping in. Family, Family isn't perfect sometimes, but what matters is that we stand together. Olivia approached, taking my hand, her eyes glistening. Michael, I know things aren't perfect right now, but at least, everyone understands each other better, and that's more important than any secret that ever kept us apart. Ryan and Jessica stood near each other, their eyes softer, no longer strained, but instead conveying empathy and a shared understanding. I realized that, although many minor conflicts still lingered, a vital step had been taken, the truth was out, and everyone was starting the process of learning to forgive and comprehend one another. I silently walked to the window, looking out at the familiar American backyard, where the warm yellow lights cast a gentle glow on the lawn and the surrounding flowers. The light breeze passed through, and I took a deep breath, feeling as if all the pressure inside me was slowly drifting away. In that quiet moment, I reflected on everything that had just unfolded: anxiety, anger, tension, heartache, and the moments of reconciliation and insight. I understood that, in a family, nothing is more important than being honest, listening to each other and accepting one another for who we truly are. The secrets that we thought were protective turned out only to be burdens. And sometimes, it is the very act of confronting the truth, no matter how difficult, that brings release and maturity. Everyone began to move around the room, talking more softly, smiling more frequently, and their eyes meeting with less stress. Mikal stood among them, feeling a strange sense of peace settling into my heart. Not because everything was perfect, but because everyone had been brave enough to step into the light with their own truth, and were beginning to find ways to understand and forgive. I turned back to look at Mum, Dad, Olivia, Ryan, and Jessica. Their eyes were softer now, a little weary, but also a sign of new growth and connection. I smiled, saying softly, "It's going to be okay, ... At least from now on, we understand each other a little better." Olivia nodded gently, offering a sweet smile. "Exactly. And now, we can start over, together." I looked out the window one last time, the yellow light on the lawn, the breeze rustling the flowers. I silently vowed that this gathering was not just a reunion, but a profound experience, helping every person in the family understand that truth and empathy are the foundations that preserve and bond a family. Michael's heart was filled with reflection. Every tension, every anger, every tear, and every moment of raw honesty was now part of a precious lesson. I realized that family is imperfect, but there is always a chance to love, forgive, and grow together. And with brighter eyes and a calmer heart, I was ready to move forward with them, to write the new chapter in our family story, with truth, understanding, and genuine love.